Hello, this is Spartan Commander, and this is the 302nd Rome Total War Brotherhood game that I've put onto YouTube. Straight away you'll see that this battle's been fought on the Germanic forest map. I do like this map with a big wide open plain, so you can fight out in the open if you want, but also you've got trees, and if you notice I've hosted on a winter map, so barbarian factions will get a bonus in both the woods and the winter. The team I'm in today consists of Brotherhood member Mars, who has bought the Greek cities faction. Unusual for him to bring Greek cities. I think those are experimental armies he's trying out there. Our next teammate is Legion 22, who has bought Germania. Once again, unusual for Legion to bring Germania. I think that's an experimental army too. Our next teammate is Brotherhood member JGP, who has bought the Rome SBQR faction. And then finally, our last teammate is myself, Spartan Commander, who has bought that old tried and tested 12 infantry and 6 cavalry army there. So there's our team. We'll have a little bit more look at the armies in depth in a second. Okay, at this stage of the battle, I thought for newer players to Rome Total War that like to have a look at our army builds, I thought we'd have a look at Mars' army here. Now, Mars is just starting to experiment with Greek cities and different formations. As you can see there, I think he's got 12 Spartan units and 2 armoured hoplite units there. If you notice, he's got the armoured hoplite units in open order in front of his main Spartan battle lines as pile of shield units, and he's broken his army into 2. I see that he's got 4 Cretan archers. Always a good idea to bring Cretans with their long range and the damage that they do. And I see he's got 1 fast moving general armoured unit there that you probably use on soft targets like enemy archers and things like that. So that's a pretty good Greek cities army. Be interesting to see how well it does during the course of the battle. And then our other teammate here, once again for newer players, this is Legion 22. He doesn't bring Germania very often, so my guess is this may well be an experimental army. If you notice, he's bought 4 chosen archers there. Now remember that barbarian troops really are very susceptible to archer fire, so you need to bring archer cover there. And then he's got his chosen axemen. Now remember, these chosen axemen, we've talked about this before, are effective against armour, and used correctly can cut wide swathes through heavily armoured troops like Roman urban cohorts. And then we move on to the Night Raiders. Now the Night Raiders are great infantry in their own right, but they also bring a fear factor to the battlefield, lowering the morale of enemy troops. And then we move on to the Berserkers. Now can you see how big these Berserkers are in comparison to other infantry? I mean, they are massive. And remember, these guys are based on real historic characters that used to literally go berserk in battle, either with a cocktail of drugs, or they were drunk, or they had mental health issues. They literally went berserk. And people used to avoid them even out of battle. They had a kind of aura about them. And in this, in RTW, they've got effective against armor maces. They've got 2 hit points and incredibly good specifications. So that infantry, that Germania infantry there, looks pretty solid. Notice how he's keeping it in a close group, so when he hits the enemy lines, it'll be like a punch, a concentrated punch. Okay, then we move on to, I see he's got a barbarian chosen warlord there as his general, and then we move on to the infamous Gothic cavalry. Now remember, those Gothic cavalry, if you look at their specifications, very underestimated cavalry, but extremely efficient. So there's a really good Germania army. Should be interesting to see how well it does. And here is the other team. We have RTW player who's called himself Caesar Biscuits, but a lot of you will know Biscuits, a very good 31k player. He hasn't played RTW for a while now, so it was nice to see him back on the RTW battlefield. And as you can see here, he has bought the Rome Scipio faction. I think from what I can see there, he's got the bog standard 31k army, which is of course 14 infantry and 6 cavalry. If you notice, his general there has got 8 upgrades, so that's 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack. But it was nice to see Biscuits back on the RTW battlefield, fighting again. Their next teammate is an RTW player who's in the RV clan, by the looks of it, and he is pro Beatbox. So it's pro Beatbox, and he has bought the Rome Julio faction. Once again, I think it's another bog standard 31k Rome army, 14 infantry, 6 cavalry. Very efficient army, the 14 infantry and 6 cavalry are. And then we're going to move on to what I would call an unusual faction and an unusual faction army here. And this is RTW player Pullo, who has bought the Scythia faction. You can see he's got some archer units there. That's the cheaper archer units there. He's got several peasant units. Unusual. There to see all those peasant units. But I see that he's got 7 fully upgraded chosen archers. Now, my thinking here is that he's bought those archers to counter our Germania ally. As we said, barbarian troops are very susceptible to archer fire, so I'm just thinking he's got all those archers there as a counter to our Germania ally there. And he's got other cavalry units hiding in the woods. That's what I'm thinking that he's doing there. But why he's got so many peasants, I'm not really sure about that. Okay, and their 4th teammate is RTW player Lee. A lot of you know Lee, very good RTW player. And if you notice, he's got a cavalry general as his general, fully upgraded. Now this reminds me of old school, because up to about 8 or 9 years ago, we always used to bring a cavalry general as our general. And to see one on the modern day battlefield just reminds me of old school there. If you remember great users of these general units like Uther, Brotherhood member Uther, King's Marcus, and of course Conan, the co-founder of the Brotherhood, extremely good with his cavalry generals in harassing and haranguing enemy lines. So there's the enemy team. There should be an interesting battle for you to watch, and there's something I want to show you as the battle unfolds. Okay, at this stage of the battle, I just take stock exactly what's happening here. Can you see that Mars has split his army into 2 as we saw earlier, and he's bringing one army over to support me as I'm moving forward, and he's left another one of his Greek cities armies over there to assist our allies if they need it. So that's a good use of Greek cities there. Some people like to split their Greek cities armies, some like to keep them as a whole. If you notice, our Germania ally is keeping his troops at the back there, probably with a view to try and avoid any archer damage. Now remember, those chosen archers of Scythia are fully upgraded and could do a lot of damage. Okay, just like to draw your attention to Lee. Can you see Lee's general there is just on the edge of the woods. Now he's done that for a reason, because he's got all his army hidden in the woods. He didn't want to put his general by his army, because he knows that we'd see approximately where his army is. So he's put his general up there out the way, but his army is somewhere hiding in those woods, ready to be brought out at any time. So as I'm advancing, I've got to be aware that there's a full Julii army just inside those woods there, ready to attack. So I have to be very aware of that fact. But nice, I like how he put his general away from his army, so that we've got no idea exactly where that army is. So you notice now I'm moving forward. I've got my cavalry there ready to attack if there is any troops brought out of the woods. But I am very aware that there's a full Julii army hiding in those woods just to my left there as I advance. I'm glad I've got half of Mars's army with me there that may be able to support if there is a major attack there on that left flank. As you can see here, we've got a very wide battlefront here. From one side, almost of like this gap here between the woods to the other, and that's unusual to have such a wide battle line as that. But we just have to see how successful it is as the battle develops. I notice these fully upgraded chosen archers here have been brought to the rear of the enemy's army there. As I say, I think the only reason that he's bought those is to counter our Germania ally, as he knows that Germania will be extremely susceptible to archer fire. So that's why I think he's bought those well upgraded archers there. Okay, so over here on our left flank, you can see that, as I say, half of Mara's army is advancing. I've got my army there advancing as well, and our Germania ally has brought his Germania army over behind us. Now what he would like us to do, he would like us to hit one of those enemy Roman armies hard, and then he would charge in through our troops with his berserkers, knight raiders, and effective against armor axemen, and then finish that off probably with a massive cavalry hit. And that could rout the enemy army there. So that's what he'll be looking to do. Remember, I'm advancing here knowing that Lee's got a full Julii army hiding in the woods to my left. I've got my cavalry there in that particular position there to counter any cavalry rush from the woods there. Right, can you notice how aggressive Lee is being with one of his Greek cities army? And this is one of the reasons I wanted to show this battle. Newer players to Rome Total War, when you play with Greek cities, you find that you tend to go a bit defensive, maybe, you know, making a defensive formation and things like that, which a lot of players did up to about 8 or 9 years ago. People just use Greek cities as a defensive kind of force. But they can be extremely effective if used in an attacking mode. They've got great attacking specifications, and as I say, this is one of the reasons I wanted to show this battle. Can you see how Mars, and bearing in mind that he doesn't play, I think this might be one of his first battles using Greek cities, can you see how aggressive he's being with his Greek cities armies there? Okay, let's just pause the game for a second, take stock of exactly what's going on. As I say, Lee's main army is hiding in the woods there. I am very aware of that fact. Just in case I'm attacked. As I said here, Lee's being extremely aggressive with one of his Greek cities army. We've got our Germania ally here behind us, waiting to charge in when he gets the chance, probably into that Julii army, if we can hit that Julii army with our infantry first, to kind of, like, we would go in as a hard edge, if you like, and then he would then run his troops through our troops into the enemy. The effective against armor axemen would do a heck of a lot of damage, and those berserkers and the Night Raiders will lower the morale of the troops, destabilising the enemy troops. Okay, now over here on the right flank you can see that JGP with the other half of Mars's army is advancing towards the enemy as well. So as I say, there's a general overview of the battle as it stands at the moment. You can see Mars with his half his army there. You can see he's almost itching to attack that Julii army in front of him. He's getting his Pilot Shield unit back up in front of his main battle line to run forward. And my guess is that Julii general will put his herbs on auto fire to try and cause as much casualties as he can to those Greek cities. Okay, so once again you can see how aggressive Mars is being with that half of his Greek cities army there. As say, newer players watching this, just see how aggressive you can be with a Greek cities army. If you notice, I've got my SPQR army facing the woods, ready for a potential attack of Lee's army to come out of the woods. As I said earlier, this is one of the reasons I wanted to show this battle, especially to new players, to see how aggressive you can be with Greek cities. You don't have to be defensive and passive with them. They have got great attacking specifications. As you can see here, Mars attacking once again. Now he's going to be getting loads of pilot damage there, but he's still being really aggressive with both his Greek cities army. Can you see? Remember, he split his army into two, and you can see both those armies he's been extremely aggressive with. As I say, I don't think he's been using Greek cities very long. He's experimented with different factions there, but it's nice to see how aggressive he's being with Greek cities. Okay, let's pause the game here. Now, as I say, you can see how aggressive he is being, attacking that Julii army. You can see I'm facing the woods there, ready for Lee's attack. But our Germania ally is starting to move his troops forward here. Now, what he'd like to do is go through our Greek cities ally there and smash into that Julii army, activating his berserkers, his Night Raiders and his axemen all charging in there. As you can see here over on the right flank, once again Lee's using the other half of his Greek cities army to lead the advance into the enemy Scipii troops there, with JGP right behind him. So that's a nice combination attack. If you like, the Greek cities taking maybe the pilot hit, you know, and making the initial impact with the enemy lines, and then JGP coming in with his SPQR infantry. Nice combination attack there. As I say, you can see the potential here of how good the Greek cities can be used in an aggressive mode. Right, now, can you see Lee's army? Let's just have a look at here. Let's pause the game for a second. Right, can you see we were waiting for Lee's army to come out of the woods there, and if you notice now, Lee has activated his troops and are now pulling them out of the woods to attack. But has he left that too late to come out? Because the only reason I say that is because the Germania attack is underway. I can see all the Germania infantry moving in here. Now they're going to try and hit that enemy Julii and Scipii army before Lee's troops get across, and seeing how far Lee is away, my guess is that with all our cavalry, the Germania hit as well, we're going to put some kind of impact into that enemy Julii and Scipii infantry there. Okay, so you can see the Germania troops here. Remember, the effective against armor axemen, the Night Raiders and the berserkers that will lower the morale of enemy troops, therefore destabilising those enemy troops, making them ripe for routing. It wouldn't surprise me if it activated his berserkers at any time now, There you go. Can you see the red banners above the berserkers' heads? The berserkers have now been activated. The berserkers are now going in. Right, can you see all the Germania army is now charging in through their Greek cities ally into the Julii and Scipii infantry there. Now what I'm planning on doing, I'm planning on bringing all my 6 cavalry units to smash in through my Germania and Greek cities allies into those enemy Julii and Scipii infantry there. And my guess is our Germania ally would do exactly the same. He will charge his cavalry in as well. So on top of all that infantry, Germania infantry that's smashing into both Scipii and Julii forces there, our cavalry will combine a massive cavalry hit into it as well. As I say, Lee's just bringing his army out of the woods, but as I say, maybe he left bringing them out of the woods a bit too late, because it looks like we've got the attack in that we wanted to, what we've been talking about, bringing the Germania attack troops in through their allies there. Right. Okay, so you can see the Germania troops attacking there. Right, can you see that both Germania and myself, let's just pause again for a second, over here, can you see that the Germania archers are firing into the enemy troops? Here on the right flank, you can see that JGP's got the hammer pulled back on his cavalry there, ready to pull the trigger, to charge in when ready. You can see also JGP's infantry moving forward as well. And as you can see, all the way through this, can you see how aggressive Mars has been with his Greek city units? Really leading the way, really being the hard edge of our attack there. So as I say, newer players for Rome Total War, you don't have to use Greek cities in a passive defensive way. Look how good they are when you use them in attack, and look how good you can use them in combination with Germania here. Now when our cavalry hits, it wouldn't surprise me if both the Julii and Scipii units start to rout en masse here as our cavalry goes in. Bang, as that Germania cavalry hits. And then can you see my SBQR cavalry going in? Bang, as that SBQR cavalry hits as well. So we've got 6 units of Germania cavalry, 6 units of my Praetorian cavalry smashing into those enemy lines. Their morale has always also been destabled by the Berserkers and the Night Raiders there. So we've destabilised those units ready for routing. And now if you notice that see Lee has brought his army out of the woods, but like I said, I think probably on reflection he would probably agree he brought that army out too late. And we've managed to deliver the attack that we wanted to deliver with massive cavalry and Germania and infantry attacks there on his allies. You can see some of that Scythian troops there. He hid some headhunting maidens. But just like to show you how good JGP's done with his infantry here. Can you see he's kind of hemmed in enemy troops there with that formation. And you can see a lot of the enemy troops. Like I say, he's got his cavalry out there to the right. The hammer's pulled back, just ready to pull the trigger. And you can see a heck of a lot of both enemy Julii and enemy Scipii troops starting to rout now from that massive attack we've just thrown in there. So that was a great combination attack of Greek cities, Germania. I threw some of my SBQR units into that attack as well, and we've managed to rout, well, I think all of the Julii infantry there by the looks of it, and most of the Scipii infantry. As I say, Lee's army's just come out of the woods there now. But as you can see, basically most of his allies have now been routed by that really great aggressive attack we threw in there. It'd be interesting to see what Lee does with his army. Let's just pause again for a second. You can see there's a Berserker unit that's charged into the flank of Lee's troops there as he's moving across. He's got his archers there shooting. I think he's got his cavalry in the fray out there as well. Trying to attack troops there at our rear with his cavalry. But as you can see, the main part of the battlefield, can you see that all the enemy Scipii and Julii infantry that we were attacking have now been routed? There's 6 units of cavalry at the back there that haven't been used yet. I don't know what he's going to do with that cavalry, whether he's going to charge it in or whether he's going to pull back, but he's got Berserkers heading towards that, and I've got my cavalry ready to charge in as well. So there's a general overview as the battle as it stands at the moment. But as I say, the main reason I wanted to show this battle was just to show how aggressive Greek cities can be used, and what a great team Germania and Greek cities can be. Throw in some Roman cavalry attacks as well, and you can see how much damage you can do to an enemy team there. Even with that enemy team had good solid infantry there, and they still routed with the impact of that combined charge by our troops there. Okay, over here you can see that there's Lee's infantry there, and if you notice, I'm moving my army now towards Lee's army. I've noticed that Berserker unit is still there as well, so remember that Berserker unit is destabilising the morale of those enemy troops in front of me. So I'm now going to attack those enemy troops that are now in front of me there.
The gods be praised! The enemy general is
my
dead.
allies mostly are finishing off the rest of the enemy team there as I move in on Lee's army. Now, as I say, I think Lee was doing a good tactical move there by keeping his army hidden in the woods, but maybe, all of you watching this, did you think maybe he brought his army out a little bit too late? I just wonder what you guys think. Right, if you notice, I'm charging my cavalry. I'm aiming for that rear Julii unit there, so I'm going to smash through that front unit. If you notice that Lee saw that attack coming in and thrown some infantry units in to attack that cavalry attack of mine. But if you notice, I'm forcing my infantry through now. I'm trying to surge my infantry through Lee's line there. He's charged in his cavalry, but I'm still moving forward towards his troops. If you notice that our Germania ally is coming behind Lee with his cavalry, hammer and anvil kind of attack there. And if you notice, my cavalry has broken that infantry that was fighting against now, and now is going to turn on to the rest of Lee's army. So as you can see now, most of Lee's army has now been taken out there with a combination of Germanic and cavalry hits, my infantry and some Greek city units as well there. Managed to take out Lee's units. So I see that there's a few ralliers here of enemy troops. You've got some Julii cavalry back there, and I see that there's some Scipii infantry units that have rallied there as well, and you've got some Scythian archer units. Remember, they were fully upgraded, those chosen archers, still shooting into our troops, but it's kind of just, if you like, that old military term of just mopping up now, really, I think. But there's a good concentration of Scipii troops there. Yes, they're all battle damaged, and yes, they've just all been rallied there. If you notice that Berserker unit, you see those two cavalry units charging into that Berserker unit, but I'll put money on the Berserker unit. There you go. And that Berserker unit just routed both of those Scipii cavalry that charged in. And see how those Berserkers, like, you know, they've got that bloodlust up when they got that banner above them and they're activated. You see they just charge straight into the nearest enemy troops. They don't care. They just charge straight in. Plus you've got the Greek cities general there who's being attacked. If you notice to the right there, you can see Julii cavalry just charged into the back, and you've got Julii cavalry charged into the back of the Berserker unit there. We're trying to get our troops over as fast as we can to support the Greek cities general. Okay, you can see my cavalry arriving as fast as I can there. Try and smash that, what's left of that Scipii infantry there on impact, and bang as that cavalry hits.
The enemy general flees. Press forward so the spirit of his army is broken too.
And it looks like our team has managed to go on and win this battle. Now this is one of the most spread out battles I've been in for quite some time now. Can you see? I think the initial starting of the battle was here, in this area here, or maybe not. That's maybe where we actually finished off Lee's army there. Maybe that's. But I think there was also fighting there before. But if you see, there's dead all over the battlefield. It's a really spread out army. You know, very often we look at battlefields after the battle and we see big clumps of dead. But if you notice here, it's kind of spread out all over the place. It just goes to show what an open battle this really was. As I say, all over the battlefield there. So as I say, our team has managed to go on there. I thought the Scythia army, if that army was like I thought, brought here to actually neutralise Germania, didn't seem to do that good there. But the other reason, as I say, the main reason I want to show this battle was just to show what a great combination Greek cities and Germania can be when used for attack. Throw in some Roman allies, cavalry as well, and you've got really a perfect storm for the enemy troops there. You see how those two really good Roman armies just kind of melted away with the impact of those combination of Germania, Greek cities, attacks, and then the cavalry thrown in afterwards that kind of finished it off. Okay, first thing I'd like to say is really well played to everybody in the game there. Well done to Caesar Biscuits, well done to RV Pro Beatbox, well done to Pulo, and well done to Lee. I noticed you obviously didn't get that many kills, but that was because of the speed that we hit your armies with, I think. Really well done to Legion 22 and Mars. Great combination there of attack. And as I say, new players watching this, could you see what a great combination that was? And then did you notice that Legion and myself threw our cavalry in just as the infantry hit the enemy infantry, and bang, you could see the enemy armies just kind of melt away under that massive attack. As I say, like the enemy team didn't get a lot of kills, but as I say, that's just because of the speed that we hit their armies, and we caused so many casualties and routed them so quickly they didn't get a chance to kill many of our troops. So as I say, Pulo's Scythian army was an unusual army. As I say, when I saw those fully upgraded chosen archers, I thought that they would have been bought to counter Germania, but in effect they kind of didn't seem to be very effective towards the end there. So I say, really well done to everybody in the game. And as I say, the main reason I wanted to show this battle was just to show new players to Rome Total War how effective Greek cities can be when they're used in an aggressive manner, especially in combination with Germania, and as I say, with Roman cavalry there. So Spartan Commander, say, hope you enjoyed this battle, and see you soon.